Hello, everybody. This is the Chocolate News Podcast. I'm your co-host, John Alexander Reese.
And I'm your co-host, Andria Carter.
And if you didn't know, the Cincinnati Herald has been around since 1955 and is the leading African-American owned newspaper in the greater Cincinnati area and northern Kentucky area. And today we have with us a special guest. We have Royce Sutton, Senior Vice President of Fifth Third Bank. How you doing, Royce?
I am doing well, John Reese. Andria, great to be back on the Chocolate News. Ready to talk about some good stuff, but more importantly, I just really respect the work that you're doing in keeping everyone out there, all the listeners, informed about what's happening in the news that affects us most importantly.
Thank you. We will be discussing owning a virtual home ownership webinar about building family wealth. But before we dive into that, we have some chocolate news to discuss. So, Andria, what is the chocolate news of the week?
Well, before I dive into what I was going to cover, I'm just going to have to touch on the explosion that New York Attorney General Letitia James struck today, where the state of New York filed a civil lawsuit against Donald Trump, his 3 children, and the Trump organization for staggering fraud that they allegedly committed, according to the New York Attorney General. In her press conference that occurred earlier this afternoon, basically she said that the acts of frauds and misrepresentations were similar in nature, were committed by upper management at the Trump organization as part of a common endeavor for each annual statement, and were approved at the highest levels of the Trump organization, including, I'll just say 45, himself, the Attorney General claimed. She said that they have committed over 200 acts of fraud.
Wow.
Yes. The lawsuit alone is 220 pages.
Wow.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
There's a lot. I mean, I'm sure the news shows tonight are going through it. Everyone else is going to be going through it and reading through this, but basically it includes all of his major properties, including Mar-a-Lago in Florida, the Trump Tower in New York. He even inflated his own apartment, where he said it was 30,000 square feet, is only actually 11,000 square feet.
Wow. I want to say I'm surprised, but I'm not surprised.
Yeah, he has violated various laws, business practices. They have put out, she even tweeted what she said earlier today, and basically they are looking to, the state of New York is looking to restrict their businesses. They're looking to restrict 45, his children. They're looking to restrict the CFO of the company, and they're turning all of this information over to the Department of Justice for possible criminal investigation. So that was the staggering news, and everyone is like, "Oh, he inflated what he owns, and he inflated or deflated what he owns, but he backed up a number of loans for the businesses or for properties were based on his own personal wealth." And she said it's just like they got away with it, and the more they just kept doing it and doing it and doing it. And they overvalued a lot of things. They overvalued property to get business loans, which he said violates several federal regulations, violates banking regulations. So he has committed fraud, according to the Attorney General. They have committed just a ton of fraud, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens from this. So that was the big news today that I'm sure we'll see the fallout. Letitia James, I watched the press conference. She was very confident. She was very personable. She was very matter of fact in the charges, in the explanation. And she even mentioned all who were involved in the investigation, and the higher level folks who worked for her stood behind her, and they were just like, had stern looks on their face, and they couldn't believe it, how the depth of the fraud that occurred. So it's just interesting. So that was the exciting news for today. So I digress. Now we want to congratulate, and I know my cousin, who is a judge in Las Vegas, is dancing in the street right now because the Las Vegas Aces won their first WNBA title.
Yeah.
Chelsea Gray was named MVP. Now, my cousin, she's been Facebooking, Vegas all over the place, especially the WNBA. So I know she's jumping up and down. I haven't talked to her yet, but I know that this has been the highlight of her weekend, watching us. So I would just want to say congratulations to the Las Vegas Aces. They had a hard road, and the fact that they've come out on top is impressive. I think anyone who wins a basketball game is impressive.
Yeah, and it's always great when the professional team wins their, first like championship title. So I congratulate the team for that.
I mean, that's a win that you'll never get again. You're the first.
Yeah.
Being first is just that that confidence, that boost that you'll never have again. So I think it's wonderful.
And it's even better because it's like they said, according to the article, said Las Vegas never had a professional sports champion at all. So that makes this win even sweeter.
Oh, but you know what? That means the girls beat the boys.
You did, yeah. They did.
Oh, okay. I won't touch on that. I'm sure the football team has a lot going for them. They have the nice, briny new black stadium.
Yeah.
Whew. But anyway, congratulations to the Las Vegas Aces. Next, we have now we have to hang our heads. I watched the game, which at times frustrated me with the Bengals. I know that Super Bowl team that we had last year is there. Yeah. I see the brilliance. I see it. I feel it. My debit card would not be reflecting their stripes if I didn't believe it.
Yeah.
But they got to stop making the mistakes. I mean, I see improvement, but they keep missing something. But whatever they're missing, they keep coming back to even up the score. And then this is the second time they've lost a game due to a field goal, which I think, there's a lot of people criticizing the Bengals, but I think that we need to take a look at, they came back, they tied it, and the fact that the teams in overtime or close to almost getting overtime, they only could win by a field goal and not a touchdown, goes to the defense and also the offense of how much work has gone into preparing for the season. The defense still needs a little bit more work, but I think they're going to get a win, and I think they're going to go forward. Once they win, their confidence will be there, and they'll keep going. So I have high hopes for the football team.
Let's hope. But it just makes it even more heartbreaking when you just lose by 3 points. So
that is true. I mean, it's heartbreaking, but at the same time, it's only 3 points.
That's true.
I mean, I know some people say, like, Andrew, the glass is only half full, or, I just say, I think the team is going to show what they can do once they get a few things tweaked. So, and then, unfortunately, we've had another hurricane in Puerto Rico, the Turks and Caicos. It's unfortunate. They're still without power. I think we need to send them prayers. They're still recovering from the last hurricane, and to go through this again, I mean, their infrastructure, especially with the electrical grid, is rough. The island is beautiful. I know some parts have come back, other parts have not, and this is the way of life in Puerto Rico, and I just pray for them that they will come back. I know the Dominican Republic also suffered some damage. Turk and Caicos suffered some damage. The only good news about this hurricane is that its turn is going back out to sea. It's not headed toward the East Coast. So that's the good news of this storm. But we're still in hurricane season until October. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens.
Right.
And last but not least, I don't know what's worse, 45 or the governor of Florida. I can't even say his name. I'm so disgusted with him right now.
I call him Death Santis, since he knew all about COVID and all that stuff while people were dying. But, you do. How
he became a governor, I don't know. He must have charmed the folks in Florida, because as a leader and governing, he wears, I can't say he wears his heart on his sleeve. What should I say?
I know he's cold-blooded. That's all I know.
He is so cold-blooded that I'm amazed that he's bowled over so many people to get him that voted for him. I think he lacks morals. He lacks leadership. He reminds me of a little boy who was having a temper tantrum while he's sitting in his high chair. And because that's how he acts. And I mean, he's calculating, he's politically calculating. He knows what he's doing. He's trying to make sure secure that base because he wants to do that 2024 run. But at the same time, I always believe that, however, wherever you are on the political spectrum, you're a human being and you need to treat people the way you want to be treated. That being said, he is stacking up a karma that I don't want to be near him when it crashes. That's all I got to say about him. But just to say that the good news is the Texas sheriff is investigating the flights to Martha Vineyard, where they sent migrant workers who crossed the border, got on a plane, and Florida paid for this flight and sent them to Martha Vineyard. Now, whether or not he had permission to use tax money from the people of Florida to do that, we don't know.
That was $12 million, though. Like, oh my God.
That was $12 million?
It says $12 million. That's what I heard.
Oh my God.
Of taxpayers' money to do that little political theater stunt.
That's Florida needs a lot of work and a lot of help. And where the system is broken, he's breaking it even further. And I think they'll just be better with him not getting reelected. And I just hope for the best. I feel sorry for the migrant workers. The only good news is that they filed a lawsuit against DeSantis because they didn't understand what they were signing. They didn't understand where they were going. They were just told to get on this plane. And you don't do that to someone who just crossed the border after what they faced from Venezuela, and they're trying to find some sense of sanity and placement, and instead they again face another round of cruelty. So we just have to keep watching what happens and see what the Florida voters decide about DeSantis. That's all I got to say. So that is the chocolate news for today.
All right. Thank you, Andrea. So now I want to move on to our main topic, and I want to reintroduce Royce Sutton, the Senior Vice President of Fifth Third Bank. So how you doing, Royce?
Oh, I'm doing great. Glad to be here. And this news update, I wanted to weigh in, but I figured I'd let the experts do what they do. But there's a lot of good stuff going on out there that deserves discussion. But I guess we will move on to the homeownership side. Yeah.
Yeah. So we have another Owning It event this year. We had one in the summer. If you missed the one in the summer, well, don't worry about it. We got another one coming up actually this week, Saturday, September 24th. I've been talking about it for like the past 2 or 3 weeks, but right now we have the main man in charge of it, owning it, and he's going to tell you a little bit more about owning it because I think Royce can describe it better than I can. So go ahead, Royce.
Well, John Reese, it doesn't take me long to really talk about the workshop itself. You know, you described it this Saturday from 12 noon to 1:30. You know, we're going to really spend some time going step by step with what it takes to become a homeowner. And it does not require that a person has to have all their ducks in a row, that they're fully ready to go. You know, this home ownership journey is a patient one. Yes, it does take time, but you want to be able to make the right steps and have good, strong folks around you to help you to understand what all this means. And a lot of stuff is new terminology to people, and sometimes it may seem like it's not achievable. And what we want to do is walk through all the steps that it takes to get there, from the very beginning to to the point where somebody has the keys in their hand and they are turning the knob to their very own homes. And we want to talk about what that means. And we recognize that, especially for our community, that there many of us may not have had been in a situation where we've been around others who actually were homeowners, or we desired to be a homeowner, but just the fear factor out of all of going through all that, or sitting down with a banker can be for some a little intimidating. So we want to reduce that fear factor, get rid of anything that may cause apprehensions or fear that people may have about this, and really talk in very real, practical, understandable terms of what it takes to get there.
Well, I know because I've listened in on the Owning It webinar several times, and I gotta say, it's like I've learned a whole bunch of stuff just by listening in. It's like just home ownership facts that I never even knew. It's just stuff about credit, mortgage, and all that stuff. But what I want to try to say is that 2022 has been hard on a lot of people. And, just like Cincinnati, rent has gone up like dramatically. So what would you say to the person who's like, well, they're tired of paying like so much rent and they just want to own their home, but it's like owning a home can be like, it can be scary, just to start the process. What would you say to that person that they're on the fence, who wants to buy their home?
So, typically a person, when they buy a home, it is, you have a 30-year mortgage or a 30-year commitment toward the home. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to stay in that house for 30 years. No, it doesn't necessarily mean that. You may decide you want to sell that home at some point in time or do something different. But yeah, it's a 30-year relationship that you have when you purchase a home typically, and it could be shorter. And here's the great thing behind it. You if you are renting right now, every year your landlord could potentially come to you and say, hey, we're going to raise the rent. We're going to raise the rent. We're going to raise the rent. Whatever your mortgage payment is, your mortgage payment, the base mortgage will stay the same for that entire 30 years. Now, here's one exception. Property taxes are included in your mortgage payment, and property taxes do change, but the base cost of your housing itself will not change during that complete time. So you have some assurance that every single month, what that payment is going to be, and you're never going to have a banker knocking on your door and say, hey, your payment is going to increase. The only way you get that is if it's in the property taxes. Or your insurance rates might change. So that's where, or you might see them go down potentially.
Wow.
So that's some assurance that people do have. And in these uncertain times, as people are working through all this idea of what it means to be in the spaces that they're in, I mean, it's expensive right now, and it's hurting a lot of families. And so I think right now, when people think about this idea of homeownership, they're saying, "Oh man, houses are so expensive." Well, actually, we're seeing a trend where cost of homes is actually going down once again, back to the levels where we saw, before all that craziness that began the middle of last year. So that the prices are actually starting to go back the other way, and the competition for homes has really cooled an awful lot. Now, rates have gone up. So that's why I am encouraging people now. Go ahead and jump in now. Why the opportunity is there before rates get any higher.
So, I have a quick question for you. Should we be afraid of the fact that the Fed raised percentage points today on trying to fight inflation? Should we be afraid of that? What they did, or no?
That's typically the rate that they're quoting there is the rate that the banks pay as we are lending money to one another, but it does have an impact upon consumers and in the mortgage space. So we will see the rates eventually impact on mortgages as well in this space. Now, here's the other part of it. Even as you're seeing these costs go up, it still in many cases is less than what we're seeing and what people are paying additionally on the rental side. You hear these stories of people $100 more, $300 more, and making it totally unaffordable. But I think that as we look at this idea of what it means to become a homeowner, we give the step-by-step process. So the more that a person brings to the table, more dollars they bring to the table in terms of down payment, that's also going to have an impact upon their rate. Their credit rating is going to provide them to potentially position someone for a preferred rate on the mortgage as well. But yeah, anytime you see the rates increase, it does impact the mortgage market.
So I would say as you said, the housing costs are going down. Are we that bubble, that real estate bubble that we saw last year, is that bursting or is it slowly deflating?
It's deflating. It's
Okay.
deflating. And so, where you saw a house on the market, if you didn't get your bid in within the first 24 to 48 hours, you generally didn't have an opportunity on a decent looking house out there. And then as well, you may have 15, 20 offers on a home, 10 offers competing for one piece of property. And some of the crazy things that were going on while that market was going through that whole stage. I mean, we saw some things that were really not really prudent, and that is people making offers that were well above what a house was really valued, and they were even willing to purchase homes that they actually hadn't even seen. It was really some madness going on that I am glad that we're beyond that. And let's say, and with that change, so we're beginning to see the prices fall back to what would be considered an appropriate level.
Okay.
Okay, well, that's all I have about owning it. And I just want to say once again that this is really a very helpful webinar if you're trying to look for a house. I've learned so much, just about like not even just about homeowning, but just about just like other things about just the housing market in general. So I just want to thank you, Royce, for just giving us all this knowledge, and I said knowledge for free, mind you.
Yeah.
And we got so many experts on the call too. It's on a Saturday morning. It's really great. That's all I have to say about that.
I appreciate the opportunity. I mean, this is a passion for me. I want to see folks who want to be homeowners. I want to make that happen for them. And so, as many of these workshops that we need to do, we will do them. So this Saturday at noon, please feel free to jump on in. Whether you think you're ready, you're not ready. You need to convince someone else in the household that we need to get ready. All of it is going to be covered. So get an opportunity for people to really begin to live out their dream and begin to build some wealth.
As I said before, I've gotten my sister to listen to past owning it workshops, and we both have said we're both in the same boat where we're preparing to buy homes next year, and we both have learned so much about what we need to do to prepare and what we need to look at and clean up and get rid of. So we'll be in a better position to be able to, see what we can afford, what we can get. And we both have learned a lot about how to do the prep work that you have to do, what goes into it. I mean, we learned a lot about real estate when we were in the process of selling my mother's house after she passed. And, it's an eye-opening experience to, buying a piece of property or selling a piece of property, making sure that title is clear, or making sure so many things are in place to be able to either own or sell is unbelievable. But I think the information that you give out helps prepare a person for that world that you normally don't see or hear or talk about until you're ready to do something like that. And I just have to say, Fifth Third, thank you for that. It's a wonderful education.
Well, thank you for the opportunity, and there will be prizes that we'll give away on the workshop on Saturday, and we'll talk about down payment assistance to make it easier for folks to get in a home. But hey, thank you for the opportunity to join you today.
Yeah, no problem at all. Thanks for being on. And folks, like I said numerous times, it's free. You have no excuse to not sign up. It's only going to be about an hour and a half. It starts at noon, and the link for owning it, Cincinnati and Dayton 2012, it's going to be in the podcast description. So make sure you click on that link. Make sure you register. You can register up to Saturday morning. We're keeping it open. So you can register up to 11 if you need to. So we're going to keep it open. Make sure you register. Make sure you absorb all of that knowledge, because everyone wants to own a home. It's like, you want your own home, quit playing rent. It's like, come on, get your home. And as soon as you get your home, throw a house party. I might be saying too much, but but it's your home. You own it. You own something. That's all I have to say about that. that's it for today's show, everyone. I want to thank Andrea for coming on and discussing all this good chocolate news.
Oh, you're welcome. It's my
Yeah.
pleasure. You know me, I'm a news junkie.
Yes. And once again, thank you, Royce, for coming on and telling us about owning it and just all your home ownership knowledge. Thank you so much, man.
Thank you. Thank you. Enjoy.
Yes. And folks, last week we were talking about the future of the political parties. I want to remind you to vote for Election Day, November 8th. Exercise your right to vote. And if you're looking for information about today's topics and past podcast episodes, go to www.thecincinnatiherald.com. You can also check out our session newsletter or check out our social media. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Make sure to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast app. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn Radio, Amazon, YouTube, Google Podcasts, and I'm sure there's other podcast service too. We're on all of them. We're basically on all of them. And in addition, the Cincinnati Herald is now looking for a news distribution and delivery agent. Please contact our publisher, Walter White, at 513-680-7076 for more information. I'm John Alexander Reese.
I'm Andria Carter.
And have a good day.